So today I am going to make a video about something that has completely transformed my life in almost every way, and it's something that you probably think is a scam, and that's really what I'm going to make the video about. It's about the thought processes that led me to make this investment decision. And I want to be clear from the start. I've titled this The Bitcoin Revolution, and I'm also going to link to a Medium article that I wrote about this. But my goal in making this video is not to try and persuade anybody to invest in Bitcoin or cryptocurrency at all. My goal in this video is simply to do a little bit of exploration about why people don't do this. When I started making my investments, I spoke to about 20 people because I thought it was something worth telling people about. And of those 20 people, one of them took action immediately, and one of them took action over a longer period of time, but still is kind of very, very uncertain. And that's out of 20. So what I'm really doing is making a video for those other 18 people, not to try and encourage them, as I said, to make the investment, but simply to become a little bit more mindful about how their thinking works. So I'm going to do this by starting with an article that I read this month in a magazine called The Spectator. So I've been reading The Spectator for quite a long time. It's a kind of British, I would say conservative, maybe right of centre, current affairs weekly magazine, lots of political analysis. And this is an article called The Bitcoin Delusion. And you see a lot of this kind of stuff. This is written by a guy called Sam Leith. If we scroll down, we will see that Sam is the literary editor of The Spectator. Now, don't let that worry you, because the business editor of The Spectator is also very, very much anti-Bitcoin. And we really have this kind of idea of Bitcoin being a major delusion. So here are the points that I want to kind of go through, first of all. So fear, uncertainty, and doubt. One of the ideas that comes up a lot in the cryptocurrency community, those who invest, is this idea of FUD, because people come across FUD all the time: fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So what are people? How does it relate to, say, cryptocurrency and Bitcoin? People are scared that Bitcoin will go to zero. People are uncertain that when they're investing in an asset which has got very high volatility. And people doubt the predictions that have been made about its growth, if it looks too good to be true. And my point really in this video is that most people seem to go through their lives with varying degrees of fear, uncertainty, and doubt. And my sort of view is that it is that combination of negative, cynical thinking which keeps people stuck. But I want to just go through this article. So I've highlighted some bits that I think are kind of relevant. So some quotes from Sam Leith's article from The Spectator. Here we go. What stabilizes the price of traditional money, if as a non-economist I'm understanding this correctly, is that millions of people are using it all the time to buy real-world goods and real-world services. So part of the problem with Bitcoin, and the thing that makes people very uncertain about it, is that the price keeps changing. And he says quite sort of logically, if you're running a restaurant, you don't want to discover that by afternoon service, you're selling a burger at a quarter of the price the ingredients cost you that morning. You want to know that the pound in your pocket is worth roughly the same at tea time as it was at breakfast. Bad things happen when it isn't. So, when I started doing my research on Bitcoin, I realized that this was a very important point to consider. And as I did my research, I started to understand the following. So because Bitcoin has not experienced mass adoption, the price is very volatile. So let's have a look at the actual adoption rate of Bitcoin is around, the market cap of Bitcoin is around $3 trillion rather, and gold, for example, is at almost 12 trillion. So that is part of the reason why it's experiencing a very high volatility in price. People who are prepared to invest and hold Bitcoin have got a strategy to deal with that price volatility. In fact, as we speak, the price is being very volatile at the moment, and on the surface of it, I've lost quite a lot of money over the last 24 hours. But because of the research that I've done and my understanding of what Bitcoin means and what cryptocurrency means in general, I'm quite clear in my own mind that that is a temporary loss and that the price will then continue to rise over time. So they have a strategy, and investors who are spooked by the fact that there's a lot of price change will often come in and out the market relatively quickly. So the origin of the term HODL is basically a description of what it feels like and what it felt like today, actually, emotionally, to see your investment fall dramatically in value. Hold on for dear life, which basically means be a pair of strong hands rather than weak hands. Hold the currency. Final point on this one, the reason that Bitcoin is not yet traded as a currency is precisely because of the volatility in price. And let's move on to this idea of currency. So in the absence of its use as a currency, though, the only thing supporting the value of crypto is the expectation that there's always going to be someone else who will pay for it to take it off your hands. You're betting essentially on being the last person holding the bomb before it goes off. Now, Bitcoin is called a currency, and that's where some of the confusion comes from, because actually it tends not to be used very much as a currency. A bit like gold. You don't go and buy your grocery shopping with gold bars, do you? And nobody seems to worry about that. However, there is another currency called Ethereum, which is being very much used to buy and sell things at this point. So if you're at all aware of the NFT market, all NFTs are being bought and sold in Ethereum. Similarly, the way I sort of think about Bitcoin is that it's a good comparison to compare it with gold. So gold is not a currency, it's a store of value, it's a hedge against inflation. And when you buy gold, you are buying with the expectation that someone will always pay it to take it off you, which is part of the criticism that was levelled at Bitcoin in the article. Now, you have to remember it's only existed since 2008, but in terms of its profitability, it's outperformed gold many times over. Fiat currency, the money in your pocket that we use, also has a shelf life. If you think about the Reichsmark in Germany, after stagflation, that had to be changed. The Bolivar has devalued. There are many currencies around the world that are devaluing, and as money printing continues, currencies are devaluing even more. If you are considering investing, my advice would be to see beyond the short-term price fluctuations to the macroeconomic picture and where Bitcoin falls into this. This is the reason why people are hodling it, because they understand that essentially we're at the beginning of like where the internet was in the 1990s. And many people doubted it in the 1990s. Look where it is now. And it is worth looking into why, for example, El Salvador has adopted it as legal tender, why people like Elon Musk has invested large chunks of Tesla's cash balance into it. And if you want to know a little bit more, here are a few names. Raoul Pal, Cathie Wood, Michael Saylor, all legitimate business people who just happen to have caught on to why crypto is so important for the global community going forward.